salute. The streets are buzzing. The Knicks advance in the NBA Cup action with a big win over the Bucks. Man, the New York Knicks win 118-109 on a huge performance from Jalen Brunson and a gritty performance from the rest of the squad, right? Standout performance from Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, right? Let's break it all down as the New York Knicks, baby, are through to the NBA Cup quarterfinals. That's right. And they win Group C, the Magic win Group B, the Raptors advance in Group A, and the Heat get the wild card. We'll break down what the future holds as the Knicks will have to face the Magic on the road in this one. But lots to break down with this gritty performance tonight. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's roll the highlights and shout you guys out, man. Jalen Brunson took over this ball game in the third quarter, as he does, like a true all-star, superstar, all-NBA, and continues to make the haters and the doubters look like fools in this one. But one of the major stories developing is Josh Hart's play as of late. Man, he took the challenge to guard Giannis, and I cannot say enough how big Josh Hart's performance was in this one, man. We've got to start with that because Giannis was, struggling towards the end of the ball game. He was in foul trouble early as well, and I've got to give Mike Brown credit for trusting Josh Hart, right, with that matchup. But obviously scoring load, Jalen Brunson erupted in that third quarter. He was taking it to Ryan Rollins, aggressively dealing with the contact and the physicality. He was in his bag tonight, as is the chat right now. We have a poll. Welcome in, everyone, to the post-game live. This is going to be a big one. Friday Night Knicks on Amazon Prime. Man, I did miss Clyde and Breen tonight, but it's a good thing we have all of us to chop it up. And let's relive this big win as the Knicks now move 12-6 on the season. That is the bigger picture, right? 12-6 obviously is a great start to the season, right? But what does it mean for the NBA Cup? Well, the Knicks will have the quarterfinals now, but they won't go to Vegas until the final if they make it. They'll obviously have to win the quarterfinal in Orlando, and then we play it by ear. But each and every single New York Knick and assistant coach will get 50 grand from tonight's big win, fam. We had Josh Hart in the news recently, man. He was robbed of some jewelry and watches, and every single player, I'm happy for obviously the players further down the bench getting 50 grand bonus in this one. Nice sweet reward for Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone coming through. Salute to Shares V, Chris Gotti, Al Tango, David M, everyone else coming through. Tendrell, what's up? Old 2, G Money, let's go. Good to see Kolek get some more minutes, says Old 28B2. Yep, 100%. We're going to hit on that. James Baker, salute. I love the minutes I got from Kolek tonight. Tony and Jay, salute. Really, really happy. With that said, really, really enjoying this situation with the New York Knicks. And got some trolls in the chat. But yeah, we're taking care of business as the New York Knicks have taken care of business. And really looking forward to seeing what happens in Orlando. Big time performance from the starting five in this one. But Mitchell Robinson was absolutely phenomenal off the bench too. He changed the ball game as well as Brunson did. And with his offensive rebounding, second chance points was a major factor in this one, as was the bench play of the rest of the guys, right? Clarkson stepped up and got some major buckets. I really like what I saw from Clarkson, taking it to Green with that matchup. It was a funky first quarter. First half, you could say as well. And I'm going to pull up the stats, and you can see the wire to wire, right? The Knicks actually had to really grit this one out and come from behind. We haven't seen that much this season, right? The Bucks started in a blaze of glory. They could not miss. And I did think that the Knicks were playing ill-disciplined defensively, like they were overhelping and they were letting, a lot of the shooters get loose. Green, Kuzma tonight. Thankfully, Gary Harris, Gary Trent could not hit much, and that was just enough for the Knicks to go on their major runs. Dynamite win, says G Money. A lot of people upset with Cat's performance tonight. Yeah, look, I've said this before. I'm not making any excuses for Cat's performance tonight. Definitely he needed to play a lot better. My perspective is, when a lot of guys are grooving, some of the guys aren't going to be in such a groove because, there's 10 rotation players. I think it's very rare that you see all 10 players have an excellent night. That's just the way that it goes. But Cat was a little off tonight, man. Ill-disciplined, gave away the 3 free throw foul as well. But the Knicks, luckily, we shot 42% because the Bucks shot 44%, man. But the Knicks were money from the line. The Bucks got to rue their missed chances at 68%, missing a lot of free throws and 15 turnovers too. Credit to the Knicks defense. I think it really did step up in the second half. And we really did start to force a lot of turnovers. Mikal Bridges, Deuce, Mitch, Hart getting into a lot of the passing lanes. Tyler Kolek, man, was getting real busy. Really liked what he did in this one, especially with Kolek, that strip that he had. Unfortunately, we turned the ball back over. But Tyler Kolek getting into the passing lanes was big time. David says, when does OG get reevaluated? Real soon. I've got to think within the next week. It's been more than 2 weeks now, and he was set to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. But, other guys are stepping up. And look, we really do need OG in terms of our defense against, tougher opponents. And the Magic and the Detroit Pistons had an absolute slugfest tonight. The Hawks, the Cavaliers had a huge battle tonight as well. So we'll take a look at that and what lies ahead and what that means for the East. But yeah, to beat the Pistons, the Magic, we are going to have to play a lot better defensively. But pleasing signs in that third quarter. That was by far our best quarter. As I pull up the box score as well, and then we give out the game ball. Shout out to everyone in the building. Hit that like button. You've got the Knicks streets buzzing. Quite a night offensively from Macau, but was efficient. 2 of 5, 6 of 12. Got the 2 steals and the block. Does he get the Tim's vest and hard hat and the defensive player of the game? Somehow, I think Josh Hart will get it. My early money is on Josh Hart at plus 15, 19 points, 15 gritty rebounds, man. That was unbelievable. Out-rebounded Cat, 5 of 12. Didn't hit a 3 tonight, though, unfortunately. So that came back down to earth, the shooting of Josh Hart, but he was doing everything else. But I tell you who was hitting their threes, Deuce McBride and Jalen Brunson, man. Combined, they were a 9 of 13 combined, which is unbelievable, right? 9 of 13 combined from Brunson and Deuce, right? Brunson with the 5 dimes, the 37 points, plus 10, man. He was playing like a superstar in this one, and he's going to get the second consecutive game ball back to back, right? What a start to the season it's been now, because this has been an important win for morale, but obviously a tougher opponent. We beat Brooklyn, we beat Charlotte, and we got a statement victory over a good team that was able to beat us earlier. Giannis returned for this one. They said he was on a minutes restriction, but he played the whole game, and Giannis basically gritted this one out despite being in that foul trouble. But yeah, I tweeted this out in the second quarter. I said Jalen Brunson has to take over this ball game, man, and he did. Because it's just one of those games where a lot of guys were in an early funk, right? They were tentative, passing it up, and you need a leader to take over these ball games, man. This reminded me of a Kobe, signature Kobe game. Rest in peace, and rest his soul, the great Kobe Bryant, man. Brunson, there's just certain games where you just can't be sharing the ball too much, oversharing. And when you're in a funk, you're down 10. The Knicks got down 10 in this one, and they basically turned to Jalen Brunson, and he, exploded in this one and took advantage of his matchups. Super aggressive, getting to the cup. Chris Gotti says Hart had the duty of guarding Giannis. I think he deserves that hard hat, steel toe, and Tim's. Yeah, I got to agree. Chris, great comment. Buzzer beater salute in the building. Yabu hit a 3 as well, says Shez V. With Cat, it's something that Mike Brown's really got to figure out, in terms of the consistency. Cat dominates when Brunson's out, but those two just haven't really, been able to be on fire at the same time. We're early in the season still. But look, I tell you, Deuce McBride starting now. It's going to be so tough to take Deuce out of the starting 5, as Josh Hart as well. That is one of the toughest questions that Mike Brown is going to have to find the answer to, right? I think it's basically decided that Mitch is going to come off the bench now. And most people seem to be fine with that. We'll wait and see what happens come playoff time. But Deuce McBride is a 5.5 starter, in my opinion, 6-man, 100%. And so is Jay Hart too. So, it's going to be a tough decision that Mike Brown is going to have to, figure out with Deuce playing so well. But look, we did go into a little bit of a funk as you see Cat hit a timely 3 off who else but Josh Hart's feed. But yeah, Hart's ball making, ball handling, and probing, and ability to survey the defense and make back-breaking plays is why he's so vital, to this ball club, right? And it looks like he's found his mojo, ladies and gentlemen. So that is dangerous, I think, for the rest of the East. AP says CT, the Greek, wanted to audition, man. Yeah, big spotlight. The Greek wanted to come back, but you don't need to audition, man. We know what he is capable of. But what do y'all think of this, right? Talking to Thanasis Antetokounmpo, the bro of Giannis, right? Once a Nick, always a Nick. Thanasis. I grabbed this screenshot right after the buzzer, man. Thanasis straight over to JB. Locked in conversations, hey? Talking some respect. It looks very, very respectful. Those guys were talking about what lies ahead. Obviously, the Knicks get 50 grand and they can get 100 grand with a statement win over the Magic now. So we'll look at our schedule. The Knicks have got some more games that they've got to play, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm looking forward to obviously seeing when this is scheduled, because the Magic are circled on my calendar, man. That is a matchup that I want the New York Knicks to then get the dub in the next one. On Yabu Sele, Buzzer Beater says Yabu, made some great quotes to the post. Says he's actually lighter than usual. He said he's struggling because he's trying to figure out his teammates and Coach Brown's system. Look, whether he's the same weight or not, I did cop that, and a great comment. Appreciate it. He's still playing heavy, whether it's the same weight or it's not. To me, I think it's still a little bit heavy. But as the season goes, people's weight generally, comes back down a bit, and he'll get into better playing shape. I think. I don't want to take Yabu out of the rotation. I think, just keep his minutes low, 6 to 10 minutes. Grabbed a rebound, hit a 3. It's important because it's going to keep other guys fresh. Our rotation's quite thin as it is with OG out. Diawara wasn't trusted tonight, which is interesting, right? Big stage, big spotlight. Mike Brown went with the veteran Yabusele, trusted Tyler Kolek as well, who was 2 of 5, 1 of 3 from downtown with an assist, 5 points and a +2, 10 valuable minutes, ladies and gentlemen, for Tyler Kolek. So we're going to hit on that in a second as I pull up the grades now. But you see the NBA Cup quarterfinals, so we will know that it is going to be on the 9th or the 10th, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll wait to find out what day that is going to be, but that is a nice gap in the schedule, right? The Knicks will have a rest on the 8th. However, they do play Orlando on Sunday, the 7th of December. So that is going to be a warm-up to what's going to be the NBA Cup quarterfinal between Orlando and the Knicks again, right? So they are going to have to play basically a home and home. They'll play Orlando at home on the 7th, and then they'll have to go to face the Magic in Orlando on the 9th or the 10th, right? And then it does look like they'll have a couple of days rest if they advance, because they'll play the NBA Cup semifinals on the 13th, right? If we can get through the Orlando tragic, ladies and gentlemen. So this season just continues to get more spicy as it goes along. And look, I think this is one of the better wins on the season. First half we didn't really click, but the second half was excellent. The start of the third, the start of the fourth, man, we blew this game open with 3 straight threes, 2 from Deuce McBride, but our offensive rebounding and our hustle was on another level tonight. They definitely wanted that extra bag. David says that, yeah, the sprained knee set Yabu back a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. There's a lot of things that players are dealing with that we don't know the full story with as well. But yeah, I do think Yabu's got skills, right? He's playing down to his, expectations, no doubt. But I think he will come better as the season goes. But the pleasing thing is, some more guys are starting to step up. I mean, the Clarkson pickup just really looks like such a valuable pickup. We said it at the time. He's an experienced veteran. We know he can score. He's another ball handler, but he's exactly what this team needs. Look, I no longer fear Brunson being on the bench now. I think that's the best way to put it, fam. Kolek stepping up. With Clarkson out there, he can keep the scoreboard ticking. Hart is in a groove. Deuce McBride. Let us know your thoughts, guys. When Brunson is on the bench, are y'all sweating like last season? Because I tell you what, last season when JB hit the bench, man, within 60 seconds, I was like, yeah, it's time to bring him back in. The other team would go on a massive run, and it'd be real tricky. Right now, we've got the soldiers that are really, really stepping up. And obviously, we'll have time to talk about potential acquisitions at the trade deadline, etc. But Kolek, I'm not really sweating it at the moment, because I do think Kolek is taking his chance. As I pull up the grades in this one, we see JB survey the floor and make the right pass to a cutting Mikal Bridges. Definitely the team chemistry is a lot better this season than it is last season, right, in my opinion. Brunson gets the savage grade. I thought Mitch was an absolute standout. Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, they'll get the standouts. Everyone else will get the solid grade, including Cat, because, look, it was a team effort. I think Cat's rebounding was still an underrated part of his ball game. Had a couple of sloppy turnovers, though, but it was such an important win, right? Such a really, really important win. We didn't want to let this one slip, and we'll take a look at the standings as well in a second, right? But that's 2 back-to-back performances with game ball savage from the captain. Here is one of the game-changing moments. Mitchell Robinson establishing his dominance in the paint. And he was a terror for the Bucks tonight, with Miles Turner in foul trouble and unable to deal with his live body and physicality as well. Mitch gets the shove and the nice and one as well. So Mitch was doing work, says Michael Drake. And yeah, you said it, because this game we needed a spark. And I do think Mitchell Robinson was a guy that really stepped up at that moment as well. Elliot, salute. Great to see you in here. Whatever happened to Jericho Sims, says AP. I don't know, man. I think he was in their rotation for a minute, but now he's out. And I do think that Kevin Porter Jr., we saw him in street clothes as well. Now the poll, let's check in. The most pleasing thing about this NBA Cup advancing win, Hart is back to his best, option 1. Number 2, Deuce is loose. Number 3, JB's takeover badge. And 4th, just another important win now, 12-6 on the season, right? Leading at 50% say Josh Hart is back to his best, right? 24% says JB's takeover badge. And 18% say just another important win, right? And 8% say the deuce is loose. So I am going to do a show coming up. We'll do a live stream on an off day coming up, fam. And I do want to talk about the Knicks contract situation and the Knicks salary situation, because Deuce McBride has next year as well on a team-friendly number. Believe it or not, his salary goes down. Right, he's on 4.2, I think, this season. Next season, he's on 3.9. So, I mean, Leon Rose, whoever did that contract, deserves, all the plaudits. But also, Deuce and his agent can't wait to obviously get their next contract, because Deuce McBride is going to get paid, right? But the fact that that's a descending contract is unbelievable, right? Deuce is going to be on 3.9 next season, right? That's an absolute steal in anyone's language, right? But the Knicks will have some options, right? Right after Josh Hart's contract comes off the books is right when Deuce McBride's contract ends as well. So the Knicks will have to be doing some maneuvering in order to be able to keep all these guys locked up. Kevin Brown, good to see you. Salute. Happy Friday. Happy holidays to everyone. Knicks are at 12-6 and advance in another NBA Cup. So what's that? 3 in a row now? I think we've advanced 3 in a row. But the pleasing thing is we didn't need no wild card. We win the Group C. Shout out to the winners as well in the other groups. Raptors win Group A. Magic win the Group B. The Magic having a resurgence. And the Miami Heat get the wild card as well, man. Look at that for some Eastern rivals and some of these familiar foes we're going to get at, hopefully, in the knockout round. And let's knock out the Magic, fam, and get another 100K, I think, for the rest of the squad. They look locked in, especially on the bench, right? I said it before, some of y'all may not care too much about the NBA Cup, but think about the players. You got to think about the squad and the chemistry. Deuce McBride, as I said, he's only on 3.9 million. 500 grand would be 1/8 of his salary. Mo Diawara is only on 1 milli, so he's going to be able to get half of his salary increased. Right, so that's big time for these guys, but they just want to keep winning. The season's young. A lot more challenges lie ahead. But we're dealing with one in an incredible way, because OG Anunoby out, right? Our defense is never going to be the same, but you just need to keep winning. Buzzer Beater says the Raptors are nothing but smoke and mirrors. Let's see. I know you really want that Raptors game, and we're going to hit on that next on Sunday night. Looking forward to that matchup, but I think they're a little bit better than some people feel. Are they the real deal, though? I don't know. I doubt it. Ingram's a good pickup. Also, here's some rumors that Julius Randle might be on the trade block as well. A report come out today that the Minnesota Timberwolves might be looking to sell high on Julius Randle, right? I said before, the Cat trade, I would do it again. I would do it over again. I hate to lose Dante, but I do think the addition of Cat is a better fit for the squad. Defensively, there's struggles. Offensively, though, it makes us very, very dangerous. Mitchell Robinson's impact is obviously key, but Hart's ability to play up to his size, as you see tonight, man, he was a two-way demon tonight, was Josh Hart. Now, credit to Cat on this possession. He was moving his feet well and making it difficult. Forced the player, AJ, into making a really risky pass as well. Now, as I look at the box score, I think Cat at least didn't, get into foul trouble. Cat had 4 fouls, but it didn't feel like they were as ill-disciplined as some of his, usual stuff. He had 10 rebounds, 4 assists as well, 9 points. So a very quiet night by Cat standards, but still double-digit rebounds with 3 offensive too. Mark wants to shout out Kolek as well. Yep, more than happy to shout out Kolek. Definitely a guy that I think is growing in his role. Credit to Mike Brown for trusting TKO, because think of it like this, guys, as I bring up the coaches chat. Let us know if you want to give any flowers to Mike Brown, the coach. Got us at a 12-6, navigating some injuries, right? But the pleasing thing is, guys, he's really playing to the strengths of the squad. Look at Hart turning things around. Look at Mitch staying healthy. Look at Kolek. The other night, Diawara playing some younger guys. Some things that Thibodeau, wasn't able to achieve last season throughout the regular season, whilst keeping, picking up these wins. Right. It's easier said than done. Play the young kids, play the longer rotation, but you also got to get wins. And Mike Brown is doing all of that. Right. Solid start, 12-6. More tests that are going to come, obviously, and things can change rapidly, as we know, in this league. However, he's got us in a very solid position. Guys are playing healthy minutes. They're not being exhausted out here, Macau, 34. Well, bad example tonight because Hart did play 39, which is a little out of the norm. But Cat 35, Brunson 39. Important game, obviously, with the stakes on the line. McBride 33, but we are without OG Anunoby, obviously. We also are without Landry Shamet. So let's not forget, and we are dealing with life with no Landry Shamet and some of these other guys. Hart is the real deal. Yet we've got some people interacting with us on X as well. Follow us on X at Knicks Buzz if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. Thomas on X says, how on earth is a smaller Hart rebounding 15 bounds as well? That is just amazing as well. Hart does Hart things, he does things they don't teach. He can read the play. He's always locked in as well. Hart could play in any era, fam, and he wears the number 3 with pride, like one of my favorite former Knicks. But yeah, I feel like Hart could play football. He's a kind of a sporty dude. He follows football, obviously baseball. He likes European soccer as well, does Hart. He's just one of those guys that, he just could play in any sport, feel like any time. Michael says, where's Wally, Monica McNutt? Wally does the post games. Monica McNutt is still with MSG, I believe, but still doing a lot more national stuff. Today was Amazon Prime, the new broadcaster as well. So yeah, MSG did not have tonight's game due to a national broadcast, but they'll be back. Johnny Chiba says, CT, I can visualize Hart doing great things in the NBA Finals. Yeah, let's will that into existence, my guy. And don't forget, Hart's still learning every single season. He never played playoffs until he became a Knick. So what is it, 3 postseasons in a row? This is hopefully going to be Hart's 4th postseason in a row. He's going to learn to, deal with the big stage, and better in the spotlight. Hopefully make amends for that Indiana series. David M says, would love a Toronto game. I still root for RJ and IQ. Sunday night, we'll see you there post game. We face the Raptors. Chris Gotti, great comment, says you have to want it more, and Hart does do that to get those rebounds. Yeah, look, one thing I'll add, just from my experience, I've been, in arenas following some international tournaments and covering basketball as a whole. Some of these players are bigger in person than you see on screen. Some players just play up to their size. Everyone's obsessed with the numbers, saying 6'4", is we see a couple of highlights from Dink Pate tonight. Westchester was buzzing tonight too. Great read from Dink Pate, monitoring his progress in this one. And another splash from Dink Pate shooting the 3 ball tonight with Westchester. Steps into that one with confidence. So the Knicks are building. They're still developing as well. Some of their talent coming through. But yeah, like for example, Josh Giddey, people talk about his 6'8", 6'9". When you see him in person, he looks a hell of a lot bigger. I've seen Josh Giddey next to power forwards, and in terms of height, he doesn't look that tall on TV. Heart, he doesn't look that tall on TV either. You see him in person though, he's strong. He's built really solid and really, really strong. Can take that hit and take the contact. Look at that, sets great screens too. That don't show up on the box score. Everyone's going to talk about Brunson and 1, right? This screen from Josh Hart, I think is one of his best roles on the offensive end when it comes to Hart. Look, takes the hit from Kyle Kuzma on that one. Johnny Chiba says, CT, what does Hart, Dink, Pate, and Starks have in common? Great question, man. I'm not sure on this one. Let us know. Those guys are hustle. I know they hustle hard. They play hard. Buzzer Beater says it is hard to assess the players in the G League though because they don't play D. Yeah, you do got to take one game with a grain of salt individually with the G League. What you got to look for with the G League is, can they string together like a hot streak? Remember when Trey Burke used to be with the G League? He was putting up 30 a night every single night. That's when a player's too good for the G League. They've got to do it on the consistent basis. Fam. That's where you craft your decision making. It's not just about scoring and putting the ball in the cup. When you play in the G League, you sharpen your iron with your playmaking, your decision making, dealing with pressure, learning to defend and not get in foul trouble. Those are the, hitting your free throws. Those are all the kind of things that you got to develop in the G League. And no better time than to hit on Tyler Kolek right now, fam. Because In the Spotlight is our new segment, and I got 2 guys that I want to keep in the spotlight once again. Consistency now, guys. These 2 were in the spotlight last game, but they continue to stay in that spotlight because Kolek's really stepping up to eat some minutes right now. It's a small sample. I want to see more, obviously, but he's definitely playing like a guy who's taking his chance, and he's being effective. It's not all pretty, and the Bucks did make a little bit of a run when Kolek was on the floor, but what he's doing is just eating minutes right now. He's providing some valuable backup, depth minutes, and he's learning on the fly. These are the moments where you want to learn on the fly, and iron out those kinks too. Iron out those kinks and learn to obviously, thrive in that role, play with chemistry with your teammates as well. Now, I'm going to pull up the updates just to see if the New York Knicks have given out the player of the game. And ladies and gentlemen, they have. Right, so I'm going to pull that up right now because we've got some more accolades and flowers to give out. Continue to shout you guys out. Buzzer says, CT, what do we need to do to beat Toronto without OG and Shamit? They got length. They got length, Buzzer. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes as well. If RJ Barrett plays as well, I think we've got to guard the paint. I think that's the key. That's the way we lost to the Magic. So when it comes to these long teams, as we pull it up, right, ladies and gentlemen, Mean Muggin, Josh Hart, right? We got some good vibes with Landry Shamet in the building as well, with no sling as well. That was reported pre-game, I think, by what's his name? James L. Edwards, and also Stefan Bondi. So Landry Shamet with the squad rehabbing. That's a good sign. With no sling and no surgery necessary as of now. You see Landry Shamet and the good vibes in that locker room. But stand out to Josh Hart. Absolute warrior. He wants to win badly with this one. And yeah, Michael says the deuce is loose. The cat block was big time as well. I like the forcing 15 turnovers. Right. If y'all been with us since last season, I always pull that out when talking about the stats. And I'm going to pull it up again because, right, you got to make them feel you. You got to make them pause. You got to make them feel the ball pressure. And forcing 15 turnovers is key. Because why is that? That's 15 possessions where they didn't get a chance to score. And you don't have to be a top 5 defensive team to be elite and get wins on a consistent basis. You just got to make it difficult. And you also, got to force the opponent into tough shots, right? Just because they get the shots off don't mean it's a good look. You can always make it tougher on the defense, even if you're not getting a stop or a turnover. You're making them work. You're forcing fatigue on these guys. You're forcing them to second guess and maybe overuse the basketball as well, right? As we see the shot chart, the New York Knicks shooting 42% from downtown was awesome because that kept us in it when the Bucks were on fire. So yeah, Buzzer, great question. I don't know how great the Raptors are at the three-point ball, but I do know they like to get to the rack. They do have a lot of length. Brandon Ingram also likes the mid-range too. So yeah, Mark says, teams no hitting the three. Next, yep, that sling was no sling was reported. Teams know they can hit the 3-pointer on the Knicks. We do have to sharpen that up. That's one of my worries with Cat at the 5, especially with the drop coverage on that. Notice we did improve when Cat started to come up on the perimeter as well and force those drives. And just got to help and recover, defend on a string. Know that guys are going to, run the guy off the 3-point line. Know your personnel too. First half, we were allowing AJ Green to be the open one, fam. That's the guy you can't leave open. Right? You got to read your scouting report, right? Just like the other teams let Josh Hart be that open man. You've got to know which open man to allow that, to leave open on the other team, not AJ Green. Force the extra pass and make it more difficult, right, on these guys. As we roll the full highlights, Jalen's 37, Hart's 19, Deuce's 19, and McCall's 14, right? I really like this starting 5 look, right? And we are deeper than last season's team, as evidenced by how we're playing without OG Anunoby on the offensive end. Defensively, we can't replace OG, but we can still win a lot of games by how we play offensively. And especially, you lose OG, but you throw Deuce McBride in the starting lineup. There's no drop-off, right? As much as I love OG, there is zero drop-off from OG to Deuce McBride on offense. Deuce also provides a lot of defense too. Hart, you substitute Hart in for Mitch, and you're obviously getting more two-way play. Less size, but you got more ball handling, and you got a facilitator out there as well that can run the break. Too. Michael says, I think the Knicks will roll with Kolek. Yeah, I think there's no reason to take him out right now. You're 100% right. As our guys in the spotlight doing us proud, 2 unheralded players coming in, making a huge impact. I like Clarkson's activity too, Michael. Michael Drake says Clarkson is going after every ball. Yep. You could tell how Clarkson's hungry, playing on a bad team in Utah, and he's coming out, he's competing high. For a 33-year-old, man. A lot of people need to eat humble pie when it comes to Clarkson because they thought we were just going to get a guy that's a chucker. and a guy that's just going to come in and not give a damn, you know. But no, he took a veteran's minimum. He wanted to come. He wanted to win, and he wanted to come to a winning situation. Not just the fact that it's New York City and a good team as well, right? Now, another guy who's obviously paying close attention, man, is the Antetokounmpo family right now. So I'm going to bring you a stat that we highlighted in last post-game show, guys. Y'all know what I'm going to say right now. If you caught it last post-game. The issue with the Milwaukee Bucks, man, they're in a tailspin. 7 losses in a row right now. The Bucks played desperate tonight. Still not good enough. Not good enough to get the win. They played desperate. 7 losses in a row now. And the Milwaukee Bucks are at 8-12. 4 games below 500, man. It ain't looking good. If you're a Bucks fan, I do think they should sell high on Giannis. If they do get major offers at the deadline, they need to look at it, because this year's draft is generational. Also, you might be able to get a higher package with the acquiring team getting 2 postseasons out of Giannis. If they trade him in the summer, they're only going to get 1 postseason out of his contract, right? They trade him at the deadline. The team that's recruiting Giannis will get 2 postseasons out of his current contract as well. So, look, 4 games below 500, that's recoverable. However, it's a situation where, like, the writing's on the wall, man, right? They ain't really going to be, competing too much this season, I don't feel, right? So let's take a look now around the league in today's action, man, as we continue buzzing. Magic got the big win over the Pistons, right? It's unfortunate because if the Pistons got the dub, it was so close, that ball game. Cade and also Desmond Bain were having some words as well. They had an altercation heading into a timeout where they bumped shoulders, but the Magic pull out the big win. If the Pistons had got the upset, the Knicks would have been hosting the quarterfinal. But the fact that the Magic got the win, we have to go to Disney World, obviously now, and face the Magic on their home floor. But that is going to be a great test as well. So I ain't too worried about it. Yeah, AP says CT, I believe that. Chris says Knicks just need to search for a backup wing. Yeah, I would love us to see more Pacome Dardier and more Diawara. The shooting looks like has upside with those guys. Mark says, what happened to Yabusele's game? I think the lights are quite bright right now for Yabusele. I think he's just trying to come to terms with the speed of the game, and playing with a better team than last season. But yeah, great comments, guys. You are on fire tonight. And yeah, in terms of what position we need more help at, Buzzer, I would say the wing spot. Just another wing that can ball handle a little bit. A do-it-all kind of guy. Another guy like a McHale or a Hart would really put this team over the top. In terms of a smaller ball handler, I think Tyler Kolek is fulfilling that role. But I would love us to get another guy that could do that with some size. Big win for the Hawks, right? I've seen a lot of Cavs content creators and Cavs fans really start to get worried right now. It was a big challenge for the Cavs. They're always dealing with some injuries, it seems, but the Cavs just aren't having the same season that they did last season, right? Are their fortunes going to be polar opposite and have a better postseason? I don't know. They just don't look like the same team. They're a one-man band right now, I think, with Donovan Mitchell. The Hawks have got some good depth, a young group of wings that are physical, long, and a group of guys I think that can really go deep. The Hornets, shout out to the Hornets, getting the big win over the Bulls as well. We both obviously we faced those two teams recently. Absolutely decimated the Hornets. Pacers get the win, and the Sixers got the big win as well. Nuggets Spurs locked up 98-90 in the third. So pull up the standings right now and refresh, because the New York Knicks moved to 12-6 on the season. And we're right there, as I predicted, with the Miami Heat right now, locked in at the same amount of losses. So the Heat advance with the wild card, and the Knicks win today, win Group C. We're both on 6 losses, but the Heat are on 13 wins, and the Knicks are on 12 wins as well. So we beat the Raptors on Sunday night, and that puts the Heat on the Heat and the Raptors, and the Knicks could get close to that second seed, ladies and gentlemen. And another positive coming out of tonight is that the Pistons have 4 losses now. So thank you to Orlando. The Pistons now have 4 losses, right? We could blink, and then the Pistons are up to 6 losses, and the Knicks could move into the top spot, man, before Christmas, man. How good would that be? On Christmas Day, the Knicks can slide into that top spot. I think by the end of December, it's realistic if we continue on this run. Clarkson's all-out hustle, says Al Tango. Yeah, I like his energy. He seems to be a really good acquisition. Got that chemistry with Josh Hart as well. Remember, we were talking about that in the summer. Ben Simmons, man, I think he's reconsidering maybe joining the Sixers, but he's definitely not looking at the New York Knicks. I think, yeah, he turned our deal down, fam, and I wouldn't want him back. I think we need to go in another direction, man. We want winners up in here. Get me another defensive-minded guy that's scrappy, but doesn't shrink when the light is bright. AP says I'm having a field day with the Detroit Pistons, fan. That's it. Talk your talk, ladies and gentlemen. As 44% say Hart is back to his best, 22% takeover badge JB, 22% say just another important win. Now we're 12-6 on the season. 13% say Deuce is loose, right? Deuce going under the radar, ladies and gentlemen. That lets you know how deep and how special this squad is, right? Deuce McBride just slides in there, man. Any team in the NBA would love a Deuce McBride starting or coming off the bench, right? When he pulled this one up from the logo, man, and that was a 9-0 run. And then Kolek made it Kolek's 3 made it the 9-0 run to start the 4th. It was bedlam at the Garden, and the crowd was going crazy. The energy was on fire tonight. Hart is the straw that stirs the Knicks, says Johnny Chiba. Yeah, it was the first 2 seasons he came. He had a couple of bumps in the road, dealing with injuries and a couple of setbacks, but he really seems to have found his groove, and he's loving life under the new coach. Hart had a lot of success under Tibbs, and it was Tibbs that kind of brought Hart to the Mecca and brought out his hustle play. But yeah, Hart seems to really be thriving right now under this new role. Slightly less minutes as a whole, but I think more up and down, faster pace, less half court. That's right up Hart's wheelhouse when it comes to the pace and just keeping our offense flowing, fam. So for those that don't know, man, we are a top 3 offense in the NBA right now. If I told you that before the season, you would have signed up. And Mike Brown is delivering on that promise of, speeding up our offense with definitely some more firepower and sharing, caring, and getting those turnovers, turning that in to offense, right? And those buckets. Yeah, I feel you on Randall, fam. Looks like the Randalls were really, finding a nice home in Minnesota. So we do got to see what happens with that. Yeah, look, I think Randall will get a nice contract. So let's pull up some quotes post-game. We've got Mike Brown. We've got Josh Hart in the locker room. We continue to shout you guys out as the Knicks move 12-6. We've got another big-time game against the Toronto Raptors, fam. A division rival. What did I say before the season? Let's win the division first and foremost, right? Hang a banner, right? Let's pull up this graphic, right? And the NBA acknowledges the winners of each group. Our New York Knicks advance, right? The Knicks could raise 3 banners this season, right? If we win the NBA Cup, if we win the division, and if we win the granddaddy of them all, the Larry O'Brien NBA championship, we could raise 3 banners this season, fam. I'm hungry right now. Yeah, look, defense has always been an issue with Randall and his focus coming in and out of those ball game. And it's the same thing with Karl Anthony Towns, to be fair. But I just think, yeah, Cat's ceiling on offense, is just a lot higher. So Mike Brown now giving props to Mitchell Robinson. Mike Brown says Mitch has given us a great punch off the bench, and obviously acknowledging that changed the ball game, right? And that's what Mitch did in the playoffs. He's going to continue to do that. JB, Josh Hart talking about his guy. He says, obviously that's our guy. Talking about Brunson's game tonight and the assists that Brunson had. So yeah, those that don't know, man, I found out earlier today in a report, Josh Hart was robbed in a hotel, had some jewelry stolen and a watch. So these guys get their 50 grand with this win, and if they want to beat Orlando, they'll get another 100 grand, as well as a NBA Cup semi-final berth coming in too. So it's going to be an early playoff preview, fam, against Orlando for the NBA Cup quarterfinal, fam. That is going to be big time. Now, we do have a little bit of time now, and we will face Orlando before that even begins, right? So I predicted we'd go on that streak. We beat Brooklyn, Charlotte, Milwaukee. That's 3 on the bounce right now. We have the Raptors up on Sunday, Boston in Beantown, the Hornets, Utah, Orlando again, heading into that NBA Cup. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could be on an 8-game winning streak heading into those NBA Cup quarterfinals. But how are we going to navigate that first game against Orlando at MSG, right? That is still a regular season game and still important nonetheless. But I do think that they will be saving some of that juice for the next game come 9th or 10th in the NBA Cup quarters. Michael Drake says, let's win a banner CT and defense wins that NBA Cup. Buzzer Beater corrects me, fam. 4 banners. We would be getting the Eastern Conference Finals banner as well. Salute as well. What's better than 3? 4. Getting 4 banners, fam. Absolutely. Look, Brunson's on track to be an all-star starter as well. Don't forget, it's the new USA versus World all-star format. But look, Brunson should be first team All-NBA. There's no doubt about it, man. 37 points tonight. He was an absolute maniac in the last game as well. I mean, that is just absolutely phenomenal the way he's playing right now. Some of those step-back threes. He was making a good defender in Ryan Rollins look like a fool. He was killing guys with size. Kyle Kuzma tried to check him. No bueno. Right. JB was just straight in his bag. And what also allows JB to operate that way is the added spacing. Look at Deuce McBride, man. He's in a straight groove right now. And so is Mikal Bridges. Hart making good plays too. If you're a defender trying to stop the New York Knicks, man, you've got a lot of decisions to make, and you've got a lot of fires to put out, right? You want to bring the double on JB, fine. He's going to cut you open and find someone else. You got Deuce McBride, who can't miss right now. Deuce is hitting threes from Yonkers right now, man. He's hitting threes from Midtown. Super chat from our guy AP. Salute. AP says CT, I would love to see the Oklahoma City Thunder become the 94 Supersonics. Wow. I'm not a fan of OKC, and I definitely got love for Seattle. I would love to see a team relocate to Seattle. What's going to happen with Memphis? They might end up relocating. But yeah, I saw a graphic today, fam. I don't know if y'all know, but the current draft, lottery standings with Tankathon and OKC have 3 picks in the lottery. Believe it or not, they currently have the 8th, I think the 7th or 8th pick, the 8th or 9th pick, and they have the 15th pick right now, courtesy of Clippers, Philly, and another bad team. Right, so it's absolutely bonkers that a team that can barely lose a game, that's going to finish in the number 1 seed in the West, is going to have 3 lottery picks again. I don't even know what they do with them. I don't even know what they do with them, fam. They've just got Jalen Williams back, and they've only lost 1 ball game. Right, it's absolutely crazy. The fact that they might be picking 3 picks in the lottery. They won't even have the room, man. They've got AJ Mitchell, who's starting to ball out right now. But look, that's a problem for the rest of the league. Man, the West is crazy. We need to capitalize and take our chance this year, because OKC is going to be even tougher next season, fam. Right? I'm going to be completely real with y'all. If we're going to win that chip in the next 5 years, this season is our best chance. 100%. No doubting it. Because Wemby's going to get better. The Rockets can retool and make a couple of big upgrades. I think Markkanen and Sabonis are probably going to get traded. So someone's going to pick them up. Right? Someone's going to pick them up. Sabonis and Markkanen are going to get moved. Giannis is probably going to get moved. If it's not to the Knicks, it's going to make another team better. So with that said, OKC, man, our best chances this year. It's not going to be easy, but our best chances this year. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, I hear the talk about Cat. I don't like Cat at the 5. I do think that's a major obstacle we're going to have to overcome on the defensive side. I don't know, y'all. A lot of people are happy with the offense, starting Cat at the 5 and the spacing. I get that. But yeah, you can't always rely on your offense. You're going to have to get stops, right? The first half, this game was looking dicey, but obviously some, incredibly talented players stepped up for the Knicks. But look at that wire to wire. The Bucks were dominating this game. They were up 13. They're up 12. And the Knicks pulled it back, obviously on their home floor. Look, I'm not the coach, and I defer to guys that know the game better than me. But my early suggestion would be to stagger Cat's minutes. Obviously, yeah, if you're trying to win that championship with Cat at the 5, or you got to stagger those minutes. Pull him out, play him with some defenders, play him maybe less than 30 minutes, 35 at max. And just, try to balance it out with the best defensive players on the floor. If you've got Cat and Brunson on the floor in the playoffs, during high leverage situations against great teams like Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to rip you apart. That's just what I see happening. So I do think that the Knicks are obviously going to have to get smart, with these lineups as well, and keep switching it up. But we do have to play aggressive defense in terms of trying to get steals, trying to turn teams over and get out on the break, right? I think that's the best way to do it, fam. We are dangerous when we're out on the break and we're getting those threes up. AP says, Knicks cannot let the competition get better. Yeah, we got to be in that room. Best believe that. Yeah, Leon Rose knows what's up. I think Leon Rose will make another bold trade if he has to, because if Giannis goes to another team, that just makes that team stronger and us, our chances more difficult too. And I do see Cat as the logical guy that does get traded if that ends up happening. But I do think this year we've got a real chance. We just have to take that chance, right? If we can acquire another defender and another great two-way player, I think we definitely got to look into that. There'll be some good buyout guys as well. I'm looking at maybe Washington. Maybe they might buy out a good player. I don't think they're going to buy out CJ McCollum. That would be incredible. He's not a defender, but he would be an incredible scorer. But Chris Middleton, I know he can't stay healthy, but if you can get a small run of health from Chris Middleton, he could be a guy that could lock in a little bit for the playoffs. Colin Sexton might get bought out. There'll be a lot of teams looking to tank, and try to win, lose more games, and they might need to shed some of these veterans, right? Some of these veterans will hurt you because they'll win some games down the stretch, right? And this is a generational draft coming up. Top 6 guys could be franchise changing. Top 7 even, right? It could get even deeper as the college season, progresses, obviously. So yeah, there will be some talented veterans get bought out. I like what I'm seeing from Tyler though, as Buzzer says. I do think Kolek, second year, I think expectations were a little bit too high last season. I do think Kolek's second, third year is usually when a first round pick starts to gel, starts to click, and the game slows down. I think last year people were expecting too much from Kolek because we cannot forget he was a rookie. And there's not many rookies that come into a winning situation and impact winning in the first season. It don't matter who you are. You could be in the top 10. Rookies don't usually come in and impact winning in their first season. So let's not forget, Kolek's in his second season. This is usually when players start to turn the corner. Last season, Reed Shepherd didn't even do nothing. Last season, Alex Sarr had a lot of ups and downs. He was the number 1 pick. Risache was, the second pick, or, one of the top 2 picks. He was quite up and down as well. So if Kolek balls out second, third year, I think we're in a good situation under cost control, with his contract, and all of that. So that is big. I'm continuing to monitor that situation. We looked at some highlights from Dink Pate in Westchester as well. We'll continue to take a look at that. But yeah, we've got the standings up. Let us know any other questions y'all are thinking right now, and we'll check in on our poll. I'm going to check whether Westchester pulled out the win. No, unfortunately, Westchester went down, right, to the Maine Celtics, 84-98. So they got blown out. Trey Jemison, Tosan. No, Tosan didn't play. Trey Jemison played. Donovan Williams, Nick Jourdain, and Dink Pate as well. Unfortunately, didn't get the dub on that one. But yeah, Dink Pate continues to play and develop. He made some good plays off the bounce as well. I'm looking at his playmaking abilities. So, yeah, we do see Hart in that locker room. Vibes look really good. Ian Begley shouting out Josh Hart, says Knicks don't beat Milwaukee without Josh Hart. Put up 19, 15, 7, and 3 steals in 40 minutes while serving as the primary defender on Giannis as well. So everyone's showing that love for Josh Hart right now. Fred Katz says Hart with the monster performance. His best defensive game on the season too. So let's see him keep it up. I don't know what's going to happen when OG gets back. Obviously, OG will probably replace Deuce, but Let us know your thoughts. Would you take Hart out of the starting five when OG is back? Or is it Deuce, the guy that's going to lose his starting spot? AP says CT, did Leon Rose get some kind of drafting rights to a player from Milwaukee? Hugo Besson, I believe. Yeah, the guy, the French guard, he's about 6'4", and he is currently overseas. But I think he was the guy that we picked up. Buzzer Beater says, I go back to Sugar Ray Richardson, rest in peace, as well. And got some fans in the building since the early 80s as well. Shout out to everyone, Knicks diehards. I really like to see Mitch develop some more offensive skill set. But I've always said this, man, the free throws has got to be the first thing that he cleans up. Today we had a critical stretch. With Mitchie, could have, further extended our lead and missed a couple in a row. What's going to happen in the playoffs, and they are going to continue to foul Mitchie under the basket. So at the very least, he's got to be able to knock down those free throws. Now, what's disappointing is that in the off-season, Mitch was uploading those videos, right? And the form looked great. There was arc on the shot. It did look a lot more loose and more smooth. Now, that's easy to say because, in the empty gym, those shots go down. During the pressure situation of the ball game is when it's more difficult, and especially in the playoffs, it's going to be even more difficult, right? So, yeah, he seems to have lost that touch. Now he's back to the straight line drive, the little flick, and it's not successful right now. So I do want to see Mitchie, turn the corner on the free throw line, but before anything else. But defensively, yeah, he's a game changer. Defensive glass as well, offensive glass, and there's no one else like him in the NBA. So even for the $14-15 million salary, it's worth what we're paying Mitch in this new NBA because every team wants what he can do. Every team wants what Mitchie can do. But thankfully, we have guys like Kat. We have guys like Josh Hart. They are elite rebounders as well. Would love to see Mikal Bridges and OG, improve their rebounding. And then we're going to be tough. We're definitely going to be tough. That's one of the main reasons Thibodeau had success with this team still, is because Thibodeau's game is centered around rebounding, controlling the paint, and we do have those kind of players. Obviously with Mitch, Hart, Karl Anthony Towns. Before that was Isaiah Hartenstein, man. Those guys are window cleaners out here, man. Right? Can you imagine at one point we had Isaiah Hartenstein, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson all on the same team? Fam. Those guys could clean the windows of the Empire State Building. Fam. They were that good with the rebounding. But obviously, Mitch is the best of them all. Mitchell Robinson's positioning, size, and knack for the rebounding is just too good. And obviously, Josh Hart for his size as well. You heard Stan Van Gundy tonight talk about pound for pound. Josh Hart is the best rebounder he's seen at his size. Now, I've probably got to give it to Charles Barkley because I think Charles Barkley is about the same 6'4", 6'5". But obviously, in terms of body shape, it's not even close. Charles Barkley is double, triple Hart's, build. But in terms of just athleticism, movement, and speed, there's, Hart can just, he can just, glide in and snatch those bounds. Who else says OG got to stay healthy? 100%, prayers to every single night that OG can get back and stay healthy. Dennis Rodman's a good one as well. I think Rodman was about, 6'6", though? He had a little bit extra height. But yeah, Rodman's the best in the game, no doubt. David Robinson was a demon as well, man. We forget how good David Robinson was, man. I don't know if I've seen Obviously, Wilt Chamberlain and all that was before our time. But in terms of just sheer size and build, David Robinson might have one of the best physiques I've ever seen. The Admiral, they call him. Keon Anthony, yeah, I'm keeping a lookout. Syracuse, I see Mello and Lala watching courtside. Yeah, I'm really going to lock into the college season this year. It's going to be fun. Obviously, the Knicks don't have a high pick, but we do have our own draft pick. So this is one of the years, ladies and gentlemen, where the Knicks will have their own first round pick. This is the season, and we'll be doing some draft content. And look, that might be another reason we see a trade of Pacome Dardier or someone else, because right, we are going to have to make way for another player to come on the squad. And if some of these guys ain't even getting minutes, it's going to be difficult to bring in another young player, fam. And we've obviously got to see how Kolek progresses, man. We might not even be looking at backup point guards if Kolek takes that chance. I would love us to get another wing, though, another guy that could play the 2, 3, or the 4, could shot create, pull up off the dribble. Kind of like maybe a younger version of Jordan Clarkson, but a better defender. I think that'll suit this team well in the future. A guy that could lock down the perimeter. Another Jamal Crawford. I know they don't grow on trees, man, because Jamal Crawford's a Hall of Famer. But a guy like that in terms of his game, right? Because when Brunson's on the floor, or when Brunson gets up there in age, 33, 34, 35 years old, we're going to need another guy that can razzle dazzle, get some buckets, like a younger Jordan Clarkson, for the future. Now, I don't think Pacome Dardier offensively, it's too early to tell. He could turn the corner and develop, but he doesn't really look like an offensive-minded wing. I think defensively, his ceiling might be the highest. Kolek, again, doesn't really look like an offensive spark, but he's a great playmaker in that. I think we need to bring in a guy that could really cause some havoc on the offensive end at the 2 and the 3. So draft don't mean nothing if you miss it. Yeah, but we need to be better. We had Quentin Grimes, fair play to them. I think that was arguably our biggest hit, I think, in years. Got to give Tibbs some credit for that one. I think Tibbs pounded his fist on the table on that one. Shout out to Worldwide West. I think he hit on the Quickly one, and we're able to turn Quickly into OG Anunoby. So I think that was kind of a hit, but we whiffed on the Obi Toppin. We whiffed on Kevin Knox. So far, look, the Kolek thing might turn good. But yeah, I do feel like Quentin Grimes was a guy. If we were maybe in a less winning situation, we had more patience. Let's say if we drafted Quentin Grimes back in the late teens, the 17, 18, 19 season, when we had Porzingis, I think we would have given a lot more time to develop Quentin Grimes. But it is what it is. He was a good find in the late first round. But yeah, the other guys were a whiff on that one. 8 pieces. Can you imagine if we get a scorer like Jamal Crawford on this team? Wow. Yeah. Jamal could defend as well. That's the thing. Jamal Crawford was crafty in the with the strips and the steals as well. And we did miss out on a couple of shooting guards, Terrence Shannon Jr. We missed out on AJ Mitchell. Like I said, the Quentin Grimes situation, but we do have some projects we can develop. Diawara, Dardier, Kolek, McCullough. Still, if 2 of those guys can become good, I think we're in a decent situation still. Now they ain't going to move the needle, but yeah, how could I forget about this guy, man? He was arguably, him and Mitchell Robinson have been our best pick for the best part of 2 decades, or 1 decade. I maintain that the Porzingis pick was a solid pick. It just the situation, unraveled, and we obviously Phil Jackson messed that up. But Porzingis was injury prone as well, so we may have dodged a bullet. But KP has a ring, so got to put some respect on KP's name. He has a ring now, but when he's healthy, he's a difference maker. For the fourth pick, though, that was kind of it wasn't too out there. It is more difficult drafting further down the line. Look at the Miami Heat: Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, a lot of names that people weren't really talking about. That the Miami Heat knows how to draft. Ladies and gentlemen, even when they're not a contending team, they manage to find these players that come out of nowhere, or not necessarily come out of nowhere, but they get the best out of them in terms of those picks. There's some guys out there like what do y'all think about Jose Alvarado? He might get cut. I think he would be a nice boost to this team, kind of energy guy. Can ball handle. Michael Drake says Javon Carter. He's gritty. DeLon Wright could just be that guy that we pick up. With the 15th man roster. Let's see how that plays out. I think DeLon Wright's still out there. He's available as a free agent. But Kolek's skill set, if he can knock down that three, I think will be exactly what we need. I've seen improvements from Tyler. Definitely on the defensive side. I've seen some improvements. Yeah, some of y'all like Alvarado. Yep. I'm not jumping the gun, so apologies. I'm not saying Alvarado will be available. I'm saying he might get cut. I've just heard some talk that the Pelicans, again, they'll be losing. They won't make the playoffs. We'll see. I think he might be a free agent coming up as well, fam. I think they gave him a nice 2-year team-friendly deal that's coming to an end. You could easily swap Yabul Sele's salary for Jose Alvarado as well. Look, if as much as I hate his guts, AP, if the Knicks kept Pat Riley, we would have a championship, right? There's fewer things I'm sure of than death taxes. If Pat Riley had somehow stayed with the New York Knicks, we would have had a championship right now already. That guy is a shrewd operator, and he's definitely a mover and a shaker. As much as I hate him out there in Miami, I think he's definitely it was a power play. He knows what he was doing. But this is where it does separate winners and losers with the draft coming up. As I mentioned tonight, guys, I am going to do a stream coming up soon on an off night. We will talk about the Knicks' salary and contract situation, because what's very interesting to me is obviously I'm watching how great Deuce McBride is playing. Can't help but notice that Mitchell Robinson is a free agent coming up. And I also can't help but notice that Josh Hart's contract ends at the end of next season, where he has a team option. Right. Team option, ladies and gentlemen. So Hart has all of next season, and then after that, the final year of his deal is a team option. And that is when Deuce McBride's deal ends at the end of next season. So, look, the way Hart's playing right now, you obviously keep him around, but if Hart's willing to take the team declines that team option and Hart wants to stick around on a discount, maybe you can give that money to Deuce McBride, and those guys just reverse roles, and you pay Josh Hart money, and Josh Hart takes a lower amount. He'll be 30, 32, 33 at the time. Now, obviously, Hart will be looking for a good deal. But we'll save that conversation. We'll save that conversation coming up. But the positive is there's a way to keep Deuce McBride if we want to free up some of that money, because a guy like a Deuce McBride, the way he's playing, you know, it'd be a no-brainer for me, right? In 2 years' time, I'd give him Hart's money, and we'll see what Hart wants to do. Because Deuce is in the prime of his career at that point. Brunson will be aging. You still need another young guard to keep around. But obviously, we might draft someone else by then, or we might also have Tyler Kolek. If he's a mainstay, let's see. But I could see Deuce McBride getting some incredible offers, 15, maybe 20, north of 25 even. Look at Emmanuel Quickley's contract, fam. I mean, I got love for Emmanuel Quickley, but I'm taking Deuce McBride all day over that. Quickley's earning 30 milli, and I'm taking Deuce McBride all day right now. The way he's playing with the efficiency. I know the playmaking ain't there, but it ain't like Quickley's a playmaker either. Quickley has some injury concerns. Deuce McBride's, ultra durable right now. AP says, my only problem is Deuce that misses time. He has missed a couple games recently. Altango says, I'd love Alvarado. If we can afford him, he can shoot and defend. Yep, definitely. Think of him in the playoffs, right? He's going to be a menace, fam. We need our own kind of guy that can be a menace. I also heard TJ McConnell, and might ask to get bought out by the Pacers, fam. Imagine if one of the enemies joined us and TJ McConnell came on board for the playoffs, fam. He could pick guys up 94 feet. I know Clyde would like that, fam. We ain't have a guard that could pick up 94 feet since Clyde. Yeah, Deuce is good at it as well, but the thing with Deuce is he can get a little bit sloppy as well on the defensive end when he's picking guys up. Yeah, AP says Hart said he's retiring in his 30s. Definitely. But also he's part of the family now, man. Josh Hart is once a Knick, always a Knick, right? He's down for the ride. I got no doubt he would be cool sticking around on a discount in 2 years' time, right? Now, he might not be happy with the Knicks declining that team option, but it is what it is, That's the contract we gave him, and he signed on the dotted line. It was a 4-year extension with the fourth year being a team option. Obviously, we're not going to exercise that option for a 32-year-old Josh Hart at 22 million. I'd definitely decline that option and pay Deuce. But we might be able to find a way to give Hart some of other money if Cat leaves, or if Mitchell Robinson isn't here. David M says TJ annoys the heck out of me, but welcome with open arms. LOL. Yeah, even for a 10-minute spurt in a playoff game, he could pester Shai Gilgeous. Yeah, don't forget, we need someone that's going to pick up Shai Gilgeous. 94 feet. Just make it difficult. Buzzer Beater says Sugar Ray would pick up 94 feet. Salute to him. AP says, yeah, Hart's going to end up working at the Garden. No doubt, with Brunson here as well. We'll probably give him an assistant coach's role, fam. I mean, do y'all remember how crazy it was at the time when Jay Kidd finished with the Knicks at 40, had an outstanding season, and we finished with 54 wins, right? And we had our best season in years. And what did the Brooklyn Nets do, man? They pulled the rug from underneath us, and they offered Jay Kidd the head coaching role, fresh out of the league. That was crazy, man. We had a player on the New York Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets said, "Hey, we'll give you head coaching role to retire." And he was like, "To hell with this! I'm going to retire now. I get paid the same, and I get to coach. I don't have to practice no more." We need a Pascal Siakam, says who will. Yeah, Siakam, man, he impressed me. He impressed me in the playoffs, man. He was legit, right? I don't think he gets enough credit. You know, a lot of credit went to Tyrese Halliburton, but yeah, Pascal Siakam was the game changer. You know, they made the finals because of him. But yeah, he's a great two-way player, and to be honest, that's what I hope OG is going to be for us. You know, I hope OG Anunoby can continue to grow offensively, but be that stopper as well in the playoffs. You know, he's been that for the most part, but you know, helped us beat Detroit, helped us beat the Boston Celtics, but wasn't good enough against Indiana, unfortunately. Um, you know, he just ain't as durable or durable enough, right? So, great conversations tonight as we get ready to wrap this thing up. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are now moving up the standings, moving on to the NBA Cup quarterfinals, right? We're buzzing on Sunday night as well, back at the Garden to face some familiar rivals and former players. RJ Quickly. Let's see what the Raptors have got, man. 8 straight, we'll find out. They play tomorrow night. They'll play the Charlotte Hornets. They could be on a 9 straight, and the Knicks will have a chance to get another statement win and end all this hoopla from the Raptors, right? On the flip side, if they can beat the Knicks and go 10 straight, they'll be legit. So we are going to find out, fam. But for tonight, it was legend standing up and standout performances from JB, All NBA, MVP. As I think Buzzer Beater asked in the chat, who's my MVP race coming up? I appreciate it. I do think MVP right now would probably go to probably the Joker. I'd give it to the Joker again, or Shea, for this early start to the season. But it's a flip of a coin with those guys, fam. I got to watch more Rockets because obviously the Rockets are a major threat as well. But yeah, the West, I think it's going to be all Thunder Nuggets, fam. I don't think the Timberwolves or the Rockets are on their level just yet. And yeah, we'll catch everyone on the next one, man. Once again, happy holidays, peace up, and blessings to everyone. We mean business. We here. Let's go Knicks. Peace.